beautiful, amazing evening. Dr. Bob Rakowski here out of Houston, Texas, with two of my absolute favorites in the entire world. We've got a decorated national hero and his partner in life, his partner in business, his partner in making the world better, Bryan and Francesca Figueira. So happy, beautiful evening. Are you ready to get rolling here?
We are. Happy, beautiful evening back to you.
Well, hello, Dr. Bob, and hello, OG family, OG Academy worldwide. We are so honored to be here tonight. And for those of you who don't know us, my name is Francesca. This is my husband, Bryan. We do our organo business together. It's been 4 years that we've been doing this business, and a little bit about how we kind of got introduced and how we started. About 4 years ago on a Saturday morning, I was at Dr. Paul's office, and Diane was there. She was actually sampling coffee to the patients in the morning, and we met, we had conversation. She asked me if I drank coffee, and of course, who doesn't? So I said, yes, I'd love a cup of coffee. And she said, it's a healthy coffee. Now, if you could consume a healthy cup of coffee, would you consider switching what you currently drink? And I said, sure, if it's healthy, I'm in. She said, you can get yourself a box here in the office, and anytime you want some, Dr. Paul has some. So I called Bryan immediately. Bryan, as many of you may know, he was a big Starbucks drinker. And every couple days he would load up his card at Starbucks, and I would see all these charges on our banking, and I'd say, wow, Bryan, you're loading up again. And he said, well, at $2 to $4 a cup of coffee, I'm loading up, frequently. And especially if I'm out with the guys, I might buy them a cup of coffee. We would go to the hockey rink, and everybody's got their coffee, and there goes Bryan again with a Starbucks. So maybe multiples a day, it would add up. So I thought, well, I'm just tried a cup of coffee at Dr. Paul's office. Would you be open to me bringing this box of coffee home? And he said, sure, if it's healthy, I'm in. So I brought it home. He tried it for a few days. He started to go through the box, and he said he quite liked it. So we got more coffee, and then we got more coffee. And so it came to the point where I thought, why am I paying retail for this? Dr. Paul told me that I could get a wholesale account and I could buy this at cost. So it made sense to us. We went home, we started sharing with friends, and then I realized, being in the back office, that I could start my own coffee business. And I thought, well, why am I not making money doing this? It was so easy and so much fun.
I'm going to pause you for just a moment because I want to get a teaching point here that's, I think, very, very critical for our listeners. So here's the first thing I want you to know is that, one, you were in Dr. Paul Charlton's office, correct?
Yes.
And so this is what Diane Solano did. Diamond Diane Solano, right? 4 years ago, she was probably a Sapphire at that time, but when she signed up a distribution partner, or even second level, or even third level, or even fourth level, she would volunteer to go into their clinic and say, I will share coffee with your patient base if you'll allow me. Now that's how you become a diamond, and that's how she essentially met you, correct?
Yes, so I met Diane, and I saw her beautiful Mercedes-Benz outside, and I thought, wow, she's doing this, sampling coffee, and she's driving around in a Mercedes-Benz. So immediately I started to think of, well, what can this company offer? I thought, of course, she told me there were incentives, and as we talked, and as I got to know the business a little bit more, I decided to work towards incentives.
Before we get to that one, Francesca, let me go with this. So tell me about the beautiful people in that picture. Can you see it on their screen?
Yes, my mom and dad, Elio and Melina. Ultimately, my mom was very ill. She was suffering with a lot of pain, and she was crippling with pain. So one of the benefits to the coffee was it was an anti-inflammatory. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try it on my mom. If this can help my mom, then this is for me. It's something that's gonna help her. So she tried it, drank it. I bought her spores. We tried spores. She started to feel better. She was sleeping better. And after a couple of months, she actually panicked because she was running out of spores. And she said, please get me more of those pills because I feel so much better. Eventually, she then told me that she had stopped taking her pain meds. So the coffee and the spores got her off her pain meds, which were making her feel very sick and very drowsy and very drugged.
How old is your mom?
My mom is 83.
So she was probably 79 when she started that.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I met her, looked vibrant, pain-free, happy, healthy. I want to give a big shout out, one, and honor your parents, one, for raising a beautiful daughter. You make the world better. But, you know, when I met them, you know, they welcomed me into the home. I felt like a family member. Your dad had so much pride that, you know, he basically built that house with his own two hands. So they came over from Italy, right?
Yes, they did. They came over in 1967, and everything that they own, they built on their own.
So what a great work ethic they passed down, right? A loving family, hardworking, and you shared that with your own beautiful family.
Yes, I did. And now with the opportunity with Organo, I'm learning to not having to work like they did, just being able to share a cup of coffee and to be able to create opportunity for my children and to pass on other ways to move forward and inspire and grow.
I want to do a couple testimonials before we get there. And let me just create the roadmap for those who are watching. So you started as a customer and you became a customer because Diane Solano stepped up and actually sampled you in Dr. Paul's office, who, by the way, was second level to her, right? So not even her primary sign up, but that's what she did. She went to work and that's how she built an empire. Dr. Paul immediately or shortly thereafter said you could be a wholesale buyer?
Yes, he talked to me about it a little bit, but because I was a patient of his, he didn't want to get into it too much. So I kind of did the digging myself. I went into the back office and I kind of read and kind of found out how to do the business. So I bought the pack on my own. He didn't even have to prospect me. So that was a win-win for both of us, I think.
So the coffee kind of did the work.
That's right.
All right, so I'm gonna go through a couple testimonials. One is your mom, which is epic. And then I want to talk about this. So Bryan, tell me about this.
Oh, this is coming back from, I would say,
it was Vegas.
Our first trip to Vegas for a Organo event. Obviously, it was game changing. Just the event for myself, it was game changing. Just to be surrounded with all those individuals. Met some really great people from your team and from other teams that just there, and we just realized that it's not separate teams. It's one big team, one big family. And I really got a really good vibe off of that. Obviously, Francesca and I, when we travel, we try to make the best of the time that we're in a location. So we stayed right till the very last flight leaving Vegas on the trip home. And this is just a habit I've had over the last 25 years of traveling with Francesca. You know, and especially with the last 12, 13 being a firefighter, I always tell the flight crew, you know, I have first aid training, I have martial arts training, you know, I've flown airplanes, I've flown helicopters. So if there's any kind of assistance that you need whatsoever, please call on us. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, the lights are down, everyone's sleeping. Sure enough, I'm awake, watching some videos, and the flight attendant tapped me on the shoulder and she says, do you remember when you said I can ask you for assistance? And I said, yes. Obviously, I didn't realize what I was going to step into, but we walked to the front galley. And at the front galley, when the curtain goes back, thank God for the training that I have, I did not go, oh my God, because normally people start to panic more when they hear that. But the flight attendant, or one of the flight attendants, she had what seemed to be third-degree burn across her chest. She was starting to get hives. Eyes were starting to swell and start to protrude from her eyeball or from her sockets. And I said to them, I said, I'll be right back. So I ran back to Frank, and on my way to Frank, I tapped Paul on the shoulder, woke him up, and I'm like, hey, Dr. Paul, just in case I need some assistance of a higher medical authority, you know, any help is always great help. I said, I'm going to be calling on you. And Paul's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. I go back to Frank and I'm like, Frank, I need a sachet of coffee. And as it would be, Francesca was about to sample the cab driver that we had from the hotel to the airport, the last King coffee that I had. And Francesca's like, I cannot give that away because that's Brian's coffee. He's going to get so upset if he doesn't have that for first thing in the morning. And she told me all we had was the King. And I'm like, just give it to me. I need it as an emergency. So I went back to her and I opened it up. I put in a little bit of cold water. She drank it back so she can get into her quickly. And then within about 5 minutes, you can really start the reduction in the swelling, the redness in her chest, the hives started to go down. And of course, one of the other flight attendants comes in and they're like, oh, wow, it's really starting to look a lot better. And that flight attendant went to the galley or the lav right there in front of the galley. And she looked at herself and I could just hear her mutter. She said, oh my God, I was praying for someone to come and help me. And let alone, and so behold, it's a firefighter with a cup of coffee. And so obviously it's not the coffee that did the work, but I knew from the things that I've heard you teach me, teach others, the benefits of opening up the airway, the Ganoderma, those PubMed studies. And I'm like, you know what, something is better than nothing. You know, that's what we've always been taught. So something is better than nothing. And I figured it's worth a shot. And they were about to declare the emergency landing. And obviously they didn't have to do that because her airway opened up. She was able to breathe. We made it to Toronto. And just before landing, she actually bought a cup of coffee or a box of coffee off of us. So it really showed to her the value of it that she actually bought a coffee.
So a couple teaching points here. One, be of service. You always have someone to serve. I don't know. I have no idea how much you saved that airline. You may have saved that woman's life because if someone's having a severe reaction, the airways can ultimately close. We can't make any claims about our product. We don't. You're doing a great job with that. You didn't name any conditions with anything your mom was dealing with or anything this flight attendant. But the medical literature says, guess what? Ganoderma can open airways by more mechanisms than prescription inhalers. So I share the medical literature. We don't make any claims about our product. I'm not saying our Ganoderma can do it. I'm saying this is what the medical literature can say. And that was great thinking, great action. And by the way, I'm aware of 3 similar testimonials for people having a reaction where Ganoderma was really, really good for them. And I have a typo there. I thought Ryan had told me he lost 160, but you gave me the update. He lost 130 pounds. So share this. Tell me about this story here.
This one here, this is from another trip, our incentive trip to Mexico, the first trip that we qualified for. Lo and behold, there's a hurricane coming through. And sure enough, I get the notification from Air Canada saying that my flight is going to be canceled and pushed to the following day because of the time that the hurricane was coming through and the departure time. So obviously I have to be back at the fire hall for the Monday. I can't miss out on the flight. So Frank and I start working on other flights. We get on the WestJet flight. Ryan is traveling with his family and we get on board. When we land into Toronto, we're going back and forth through the customs line and his kids are right there in front of me. And I said, hey guys, you want to see something? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so I showed them my firefighter badge. I said, I'm a firefighter here actually at this airport. So I just brought the 4-year-old kids inside the custom line. They can get a little bit anxious. And Frank and I, over the years of traveling with our kids, we realized that. So I just brought I brought them to a different level. They were calm. They were happy. And I looked up at Ryan. He goes, oh, you're a firefighter. And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm ex-military. So there was that service bond that was right there. The line moves. We meet up again. Ryan passes along to me a Canadian badge. It's a decal that just goes on your shoulder, and it's the black band that goes through. It's for fallen for fallen soldiers. And so I'm like, oh, I have nothing on me. I go to Ryan and say, hey, listen, you know what? I don't have anything to give, but I have my business card here, and I have a sachet that I want to share with you, right? So I shared him a cup of coffee. He shared the badge with me. We went on our ways. I get a call from Ryan a little bit later. He goes, I'm not really a coffee drinker. I don't like drinking hot products. And I said, well, you can actually drink that cold, right? So he drank it cold. He gave me a call another day. He goes, I really liked it. And I said, actually, I'm going to be in Brantford. That's where he lives, because one of the doctor, I forget her name right now, but she's a doctor, a chiropractor out in Brantford. she was having you there as a guest to talk about the product. And I invited Ryan over. Ryan came, he listened to you talk, and he joined our team. And with the success of following the OG Phoenix, his gains or his losses were phenomenal.
Yeah, beautiful story. And you know, look at that, another opportunity to meet, be of service. You always have someone to serve. You were helping his kids out. Next thing you know, you actually helped his whole family by putting him in a better position to have a great life. And how about this wonderful lady here?
Michelle, this is a great story because we got called for a seizure call at the airport, and so obviously we respond. And when I went to the call, I went to the location where the call came in, and she no longer was there. So I asked the security guards, like, where's that patient? And they're like, oh, they're just at customs right now. So we go up through the line. You got to figure there's 4 firefighters all wearing bright yellow clothes. And we're like, hi, you know, we're here with the fire department. The excitement, she's tired from her flight, yellow, very bright, all the commotion. She started having a seizure right there. So we get a chair, we put her down. And then obviously paramedics, they show up. And just as they were about to leave, I said to the husband, I said, this has nothing to do with me, my work here at the fire hall or anything like that, but I believe that there's a doctor that you should connect with. I believe he has information that could at least help, right, Michelle, just in knowledge. And he's like, sure. So we connected through Facebook. He found me through Facebook, and we connected, and she came out to see one of your talks at the hotel. And from there, she was able to go from,
green tea.
Yeah, she wasn't a coffee drinker, but she enjoyed the green tea, she enjoyed red tea. And from there, she was having about 4 to 5 grand mels a day. And I believe at the time she was on a cocktail of 11 different medications, right? And it took some time. And with your help, I believe she went down to, when I spoke to her the very last time, she was down to 1 grand mel a day. And she had probably cut her medication down to about 2 or 3 from 12.
Yeah, epic improvement. And you just never know where that type of thing can go. But what a fun story. And, you know, we were actually celebrating her and doing a mixture for her on that picture. So, Francesca, I'm going to get back to you. So you got a little bit excited about Diane's Mercedes, and that was a really nice perk, and she still has it. It's a beautiful car.
Yep. And again, I ran into Diane again at Paul's office. We were doing, or Paul was doing a weight loss challenge, and we joined in. We thought, let's do this. It could be fun. Let's see what happens for us. And of course, Diane was doing the numbers, and in talking, Diane had just come back from her first incentive trip, which was a cruise. And she was going on about how much fun it was, but how she wished she had more people with her. So as soon as I heard that, I got excited. I thought, well, you share coffee, it's pretty easy. You get trips. I never got a trip from working 20 years at the office I work at. So, you know, what's this all about? So I got excited. She said, well, you know, if you just, you know, work towards the incentives, you will get to go on a trip. So right away, the next day, I knew when the trip was for the next year. I went to work, and I went right to the vacation calendar, and I blocked off my week. And my coworker said, well, how do you know you want that specific week? And I said, because Organo has an incentive trip, and I'm going to be going on it. Mm-hmm. So I manifested, and I worked towards the trip. So every month I did what I had to do, and the importance of campaigns and incentives, number one, grows your business, and it's fun doing it, and you get the prize. So, you know, you just have to sometimes have that carrot dangled in front of you to work and to grow. So we made the trip that first year that we joined Organo.
So one, great there. And again, a wonderful use of incentives and knowing, you know, we talk about love language. Everybody has a love language. Looks like your love language, one of them is travel and adventure. So this was part of it, right? I believe that was from that first trip.
That was our first trip. We then again worked towards the trip after that because we vowed to be on every trip from now on and travel the world with Dr. Bob, Diane, Paul, all our friends, that we've met through the years in Organo, who have become family. Now I can't imagine not being on a trip with them. So this was the year after we got, we worked towards and we made the cruise. And just recently we went to Cancun. So we took the Cancun trip and we brought our daughter this time. So we had a lot of fun. And during this time, during the Cancun trip, I lost my dad. So we had bad news come in halfway through our trip that he had passed away. And I had just seen him days before I went on the trip. And what touched me the most was this Organo family. Amazing. I had more support that week with the people that were with us. We had the Brennans, we had Venita, we had the Millers. We couldn't have been with better company that week. And it helped me get past the next few days because all I wanted to do was come home. Dr. Bob, you were amazing. You talked me through a difficult time while I was there. Jacob and Megan were amazing. They sent us flowers. Edward was so supportive. He was there for all our needs the rest of the week. He actually got them to extend one extra night because our flight wasn't leaving till the next day and we were gonna go back to another hotel in Cancun after the incentive. But with the assistance of Edward, he got in touch with corporate and they were able to have us stay one more night. So we were comfortable and we could, be ready for that flight home. So amazing support with this family.
Well, sometimes you hear people use the word family and it's a word, but it's not in this case. It's not a word, it's what we are. We have such a supportive group. I've been in your home. We've had so much fun. We've been on multiple vacations. Bryan took me on an adventure in the fire hall. I got to live a lifelong dream and actually get to do a little bit of firefighting training, which I think every guy has a little bit in him that wants to do that. And certainly a lot of respect for you guys and so much fun and more fun to have. And there you are surrounded by family and friends. And I think nearly everybody you mentioned on that, everybody was there. And, on a daily basis, all of us were communicating and more or less what can we do to make this time a little better for you. It was a group effort. It was what we got together as a family to do. And certainly Edward, you mentioned him. He was right on it from the word go. What can I do? How can I make their life better? Whatever it is, I'll do it. And I always want to give him a huge shout out on that. And so ultimately, you had a little bit of a goal, maybe for a little bit of time freedom. So most people hang in a 5-day work week, but you thought maybe a 4-day work week would be okay. So tell me about that.
Well, initially I thought, wouldn't it be great to stop working in an office or having to be somewhere at a specific time altogether? So I started working towards that. And then it got to the point where I started to make a little bit of money and I turned to Bryan and I said, look, I think I can take a day off. And he said, crunch the numbers. What do you think? And residually, we were able to take a day off and we're every day working towards taking more days off and maybe not having to go there at all. So that was the goal. The goal was time freedom. For me, it was more, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to experience the things that they're doing at this age. I want to be able to be there for my parents. Being older, they have multiple appointments. Me being an only child, I'm usually the one to do it all. So, why can I not have days off as opposed to having to ask for days off? So this whole model worked for me, and that's what we're ultimately working towards, is to be doing Organo full-time and not having to be at a day-to-day 9-to-5 job.
So I want to talk about how powerful this is and how motivating it is You know, when you look at the numbers that the world has, and sometimes people think, well, you know, people want to retire rich in 3, 4, 5 years with their network marketing business. Most people don't work towards that. But if you told someone, look, I can get you enough extra money a month that you can have a 3-day weekend, 52 weeks a year, who wouldn't want that? And you did it by building a good retail base. You're a great star achiever. Your products are the product. You're constantly sharing. You've got diversity. And you build your skill set along the way, which is so, so, so fun and epic and exciting to be a part of. So, Bryan, you're not a normal human. You know, I knew that from the moment I met you.
I know that too.
That's what Franca said.
You know, I mean, one, a building's on fire, people are running the other direction, you're running in. But even before you became a firefighter, you were a decorated national hero. So tell me about this day. What happened?
This day, Frank and I used to work at the Island Airport, and we have to take the ferry. The ferry is very scheduled, and as 3 o'clock rolled around, I went out to the ferry, and the ferry was leaving. And one of the worst things that they do is, just as you're running up to the ferry and it's leaving, they wave at you. It's like, bye. Well, that trip of the ferry going and coming back is about a half an hour trip. It's a very short ferry ride, but it set me back half an hour. So I went back inside the building. Francesca's like, what are you still doing here? I'm like, I missed the ferry. So the next ferry comes, I get on board. I'm outside now. So if you look in the top picture there, the way the gate slides, there's a man section that you can, a seated area for people, and then there's the car section. So I'm actually standing outside. It's November 16. It's minus 30 Celsius. The ice was just forming on the lake, and I didn't want to have to wait behind 50 people to get to my car. I was already half hour late. So as we cross the channel, the captain honks the horn. I look up at them, and he points into the water. And what we thought was a dog was actually a person that we thought had fallen in. We realized after he had jumped in. But as we got closer, the ferry parks in a U-shaped docking area, and that's where he was. So as we got closer, the captain started to turn the boat, not to crush the gentleman. I took off my boots. I handed my jacket to the guy beside me. I jumped onto the railing, and I dove in. And I found him just as he was sinking. I found him just by the jacket. I brought him to the surface. I looked over at the boat, and all I could see is the prop turning in the water, like in the movie Titanic. You just see it chopping around. And then I think to myself, what did I just do? Because there's no way out. I was fortunate enough that the tires on the side of the ferry that buffer the boat as it comes in, I was able to grab that, and I was able to move myself towards the seawall, where it goes from 30 feet of water to a foot of water. And I figured if I pass out there, at least I pass out in a foot of water, not 30 feet. The gentleman, as I'm going from tire to tire, he falls out of my hands. I go back under again. I bring him to the surface. One of the other gentlemen from the boat runs around. He jumped off the boat, ran around with a pike pole, reaches into the water after he dropped the dock in, reaches in, pulls the gentleman by the coat. I hold on. We get taken to the hospital. Francesca is on the island watching this commotion, and her manager, or our manager at the time, says, oh, that was Bryan. He just jumped in the lake. He doesn't want to marry you anymore. He's trying to swim away. Our wedding was a year after that, this incident. Obviously, Franca finds out the truth. She meets me at the hospital, and then she brought me back down to the island airport so I can get in my car. I make it home to watch myself on the 6 o'clock news. And obviously the phone starts ringing off the hook. And long story short, I went back to, I left my home to go to Franca's home so I wouldn't be disturbed, but her phone's ringing off the hook saying that, hey, you know what Bryan did? The next morning I go into work and I see the gentleman's footprints in the snow from where he jumped. I saw his footprints, but I also saw his handprints. So just as he jumped, he changed his mind and slipped in because of the snow. Obviously, there's some decorations there. I got a letter from the Prime Minister of Canada. I also got a medal from the Governor General of Canada, which is the same or the equivalent of getting the medal right from the Queen.
Well, one, you're the only person I know that has a story like that, right? I mean, like that. That was pretty epic. I know lifeguards, but I don't know anybody that jumped into a frozen lake at -30. That's beyond amazing. But you know what to do when you see someone drowning. You know what to do when you see a burning building. But let me ask you a question. What is more scary, running into a burning building or prospecting someone brand new for Organo?
4 years ago, my answer would be the prospect. Because obviously with the firefighting, we're all trained in certain systems. You know, you put the wet stuff on the red stuff, you know, in copious amounts, eventually will go out. So we have those systems. So in the beginning, obviously going after the prospect or prospecting an individual was a lot more scary because I wasn't up to speed on the systems. Now I would say they're equal. There is no fear in either one of them because of the systems that we have at the fire hall. I know what to do with the systems that we have within Organo, the teams, the Facebook groups that you've put together with Jacob, the funnels, the Zoom calls, all the things that the team has been putting together. The simple thing of just picking up the phone and calling Paul Charlton and saying, hey, I need a hand with something. You know, those systems there have really shown that there is no fear in either one, right? Francesca has a great habit of just talking to people on the street even before Organo. So now she's just using that same talent of talking to communicate with in that cold market of just saying, hey, you know, I see you're busy. I see you have your hands full. Can I share with you?
I want to pause for a teaching point because I have patients that are MMA fighters. You know, I've trained with low level, I wouldn't say low level because these guys are beasts and when we're sparring, no big deal. But, you know, I'm going toe to toe with an MMA fighter and they would rather be across the cage from someone that's very capable of hurting them badly than approach someone they don't know very well and share an opportunity like this. So here's the point. If you're a little frightened to approach someone new, welcome to the club. You know, I think most of us have that level of fear, but you said it very, very well. With your training, a burning building is something you're very, very comfortable with. So I promise you, if we can train people to go into a burning building, we can train people to say, hi, how are you, right? And take it from there. And Francesca, so initially you said one of your challenges was maybe getting up in front of a group of people.
That was my
How
biggest.
did you overcome that?
It still is. The fact that I'm doing this evening is it's growth for me. It's success. So, you know, I thank you all for being here and supporting me in this because for most people, I mean, a lot of people have a fear of speaking in front of people. Maybe this is easier. Maybe Zooms have been great and have gotten me out there more than being, you know, in a room of people and standing up in front of, you know, and on stage. But it's a lot of fun. And with this business, there's a lot to learn. You know, personal development is huge. If you don't do the personal developing, you don't grow and you don't, you can't lead others. So it's very important to do a little self work and self growth.
Well, you both have been absolutely fantastic. And I absolutely love the example that you set for your children. And that really comes to the point. One, there's got to be training. You have the training, you have to do it. And then ultimately you have to step out of your comfort zone. And I like the way you just promoted Zoom as a bridge. You're, okay, if you don't want to get in front of a person, how about in front of your own computer? You know, and by the way, you don't even have to look at the audience. You can look at yourself. You don't have to look at anything. You can just talk to the computer. And I think that's a very good bridge for a lot of people. So ultimately, where do you want to go with this business?
I would love to inspire and teach other people and families, especially to earn a few extra dollars a month, to get a little bit further and do things that are fun, as opposed to feeling trapped and, you know, going to work every day and thinking that that's all they have to do for the next 40, 50 years of their life. There is something to be said about getting out there and sharing. So I would love to inspire at least 20 families, 20 individuals, and to bring them up to a rank that has them leading 20 or 30 families and individuals. That would be great. That would be for me something, and that would be something that my children can see, and they can, and you know, as well, they can learn that not having, you know, a job is not the only thing that they need to do to have what they'd love in their life.
I love what you've already shown, and that is if you have a good customer base, if you're a star achiever, if you're a product of the product and you're sharing, you can make a difference in other lives and your own lives, and you don't have to hit those mega ranks. But by the time you get those 20 families, you're going to be a rock solid diamond. And I promise you, you're going to enjoy every moment and every sapphire along the way. I want to go back to this picture because this was early on in your training. I think maybe Diane was a sapphire at that point in time.
Yeah, Sapphire.
I might have been an emerald, or maybe I was just a fresh diamond. Sandra was just getting started. Delina was just getting started. Nancy and Paul, not too far along, but guess what? They're rubies. Diane's a diamond. Sandra just hit sapphire. Delina just hit sapphire. And then we have Sandra hitting platinum. And then you two are platinum elite. So the consistency gets us there. You know, and what do you think? What kept, you know, nearly everybody in that picture still after it? What do you think was the main factor? What was the glue that kept them all together?
I think Diane. I think Paul, Diane, just great leadership, having fun with what we do. Consistency is all I have to say. And just stay plugged in. If you stay plugged in, you will learn the business. You will have fun along the way. You will meet people that you'll never meet otherwise. For us, it was just I'm gonna have to say it's the people for us more than anything.
I think the hotel meetings in the very beginning, 4 years ago, Diane had just started the hotel meetings. We were all doing our own, for example, this mixer that we did with Michelle. I know that Sandra and Delina, they're very good with mixers. So all those being active, doing the small little things, it's the small little goals that you put within yourself. When you achieve those small little goals, you feel good. If you're trying to do the goals of others and you fail, then you feel bad. But even if you fail at your own goals that you set, at least you feel good that you tried, right? So, and I think that's what made or is making this team so successful is everyone in this picture here has set small goals. And with the small goals, the bigger picture starts to show itself. And I think that's what made this so consistently good.
I want to make a comment on this. So Diane and I are part of Eric Worre's mastermind, and it's a very elite group of people. And you know, you talk to the top earners all over the world, and here's what they say: the number one thing that holds a team together is culture. So essentially, family, sticking together. And you look, and everybody there is a product of the product. Everybody there is super consistent. Everybody is welcome, loved, and loving. And that's a big testimonial to all of you. And certainly you called out Diane, and she deserves the accolades. She, I believe, is the best networker I know. You know, she just builds a great team, great family, great culture. So tell us about these two beautiful ladies. This was just this month, by the way. These are brand new VIPs.
These are brand new VIPs. This is Catherine Casey and Elena Hall. They just joined our team, I'm gonna say in April, just recently. And they've made VIP, so we're very proud of them. They've been consistent. They've been on every call. And just like Bryan and I, we have not missed a meeting or a call since day one. So again, consistency, being plugged in, you'll get to where you need to get if you keep on with the system. And our systems are in place. Our leadership is amazing. And I just have to say that you have all the support in this company. Anything you need, we're at your service.
again, just a little teaching point on that. As a team, we've created Zooms, team Zooms every single week. Organo's done that. They have daily health tips. We have our Sunday conversation on success. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is if you are in a market and you're looking to grow, the rule in network marketing is meetings make money. More meetings make more money. Big meetings make big money. And so we have some Zooms where we're crossing 170, 180 people because we have everybody promoting it and we're trying to add value every step of the way. And these ladies are already products of the products. They're great promoters. And like you said, they're consistent, they're consistent, they're consistent. And what a great testimonial. And I trust that we'll be seeing both of them on a conversation on success. So they say that, you know, leadership may be the top paid skill. I think that's a misnomer. Leadership in a way where you develop leaders, right? We don't want to develop followers. We want to develop leaders, and we develop 20 families and help them dramatically enhance their financial future and their wellness future. What do you think are the most important steps that you need to take from here to get to that next level?
I say building a relationship. I say supporting and just being there for people who are, you know, don't know what to do and they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone, just like I was, and just guide and teach, you know, teach to duplicate, teach to share with other people, teach to be part of events and be part of the community and the culture of it. And I think that'll be what will guide us and lead us to that.
No doubt about that. And, you know, so Bryan, interesting picture of you. You know, Warren Buffett says you want to invest heavily in your top investment, which by the way, just happens to be yourself. So what are you investing in here? What's that doing for you? And tell me, you know, how is making your inner game stronger, making you show up better in the world?
There's a great quote I heard from John Travolta where he said, yesterday I was smart and I was trying to change the world. Today I'm wise and I am changing myself. So I took this into, along with other things I've done, I've learned from Satcha, I've learned from yourself. This right now is Wim Hof. I'm practicing some breathing exercises and just getting into myself. So this day here, I went to the park. I'm standing barefooted on a stump and just grounding myself and just being part of nature. Obviously, I have Amadeus with me, and it's just a little bit of control because Amadeus right now is latched onto my waist. So if he runs, I'm being dragged along. So it really is controlling myself, just being one with myself and bettering myself. And with these little small habits, if I can change myself, then others can change themselves. Because for me to try over 25 years, 30, knowing each other by dating, I still can't change her, you know? So I change myself first, all right? And then others will see those changes and hopefully they start to follow. And it could be just, you know, learning how to breathe a little bit better, learning how to speak a little bit better, learning how to do the Magnificent Seven, like you say. And so this is just part of that. So
we've seen those beautiful changes in both of you, and certainly the people that you touch, and so many of them. It's fun that you both have had a great testimonial. And Bryan, I'll be brief with yours, but you had a work-related serious injury. Right? You fractured your ilium. People don't even know where the ilium is, but it's basically your pelvis. You fractured your pelvis. That's a pretty rough deal. And yet you got through that, no painkillers, and we're back to full duty as a firefighter in what period of time?
8 months.
I mean, that's epic. That's an epic recovery. It seems somehow, some way, you know, this has been beautiful in ways that we couldn't even imagine for you and the people you touch. So if you were going to give people advice, okay, you need to do something. Let's, all three of us will give a call to action, and we can put ladies first. So Francesca, you first, and then Bryan, a little call to action. What do you think people can do? What kind of action can they take to improve their business, their self, their life, or all the above? Any one action. What is the one thing you'd ask them to do?
I say put in your first of the month order. For me, it's getting my numbers to start showing up from day one. So I place my order first day of the month, every month, and I do my Star Achiever because I have a business, so I need product, and our whole family consumes this product. So I put in my Star Achiever, my numbers start to show up, and I go to work from day one of the month.
I've called that maybe the best building tip that we have. And I promise you, if you do that and you get your organization to do that, this is for the listeners, you're going to build a great business. If you have product, you're more likely to use it, you're more likely to recommend it, and you're going to make the world better. Bryan, what's your call to action?
I've always been the one, you probably don't know this, but I'm very vocal. I like to talk a lot, but I like to share. I like to share my stories with what I've learned from individuals inside this group, my testimonials on how I feel with the product, because I can't, if I drive a Mercedes, and I can't say that, hey, a Ford is a really great car to drive if I don't drive that Ford. So driving a Mercedes, I can actually say, hey, a Mercedes is a great vehicle in my opinion because, and I can do that same thing with Organo, because everything that Organo has to offer, be it the skincare, because I just shaved this evening for this call. So, I use the skincare right after I shave, right? So, I like the soap, I like the teas, I like the toothpaste, I love all that stuff. So I'm actually able to say, as a product of the product, if you can do that, then as an individual, you can share your truth story of how you feel with the product.
I love it. And then my call to action is going to be one that I was given by Eric Worre, and a bunch of us were. He said, look, the world is really struggling right now, and people just need to know there's someone out there that is a friend, someone they can talk to. So I literally went through my list of people, and one day I reached out to 100 people, and I said, hey, listen, I was just thinking about you. How are you? How's everything in your world? And that made some phenomenal connections that I know will be life-changing for some of those people. And it's a very good time. In fact, it's maybe the best time ever to just reach out and send a little love to the world. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. You two are fabulous. Art Williams says there's nothing more powerful than a committed couple, and you are clearly that. You make the world better in so many ways. I love and appreciate you both. And I know that we're going to have more conversations, and what I'm looking forward to is you interviewing one of, or all 20 of your epic leaders that are coming down the road. So thank you for a beautiful evening, and OG family.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your time, Dr. Bob. Always appreciated.
And if you can just finish off like you always do, please. It's always such
all right. Well, I've gotten to this habit. I tell people I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, and I know that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night, all.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.